The Ford GT40, an American legend at Le Mans and beyond. In 1966, Ford took its first major victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans when a GT40 Mk.II swept the podium. The image shows Ford's three GT40s crossing the finish line together in a now iconic 1-2-3 victory. Henry Ford II had famously ordered a win over Ferrari, and his teams, led by Holman Moody and Shelby American, responded spectacularly. Car number 2, painted black and driven by New Zealanders Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon, took first place, ending Ferrari's 6-year winning streak. All three Ford entries finished together to seal Ford's dominance. McLaren and Amon won, Ken Miles and Denny Hume came second, and Ronnie Bucknam and Dick Hutcherson third. This historic outcome cemented the GT40's reputation, the first of 4 straight Le Mans wins for Ford, 1966–69. 1966 Lyons Mans triumph. The 1966 Lyons Mans race pitted Ford's new Mk.II GT40 with a 7.0 LV8 against Ferrari's prototype 330p3S and other challengers. By mid-race all the Ferrari competitors had retired, and Ford ran 1-2-3 in the final hours. In fact, race control famously tried to stage a dead heat finish with the three GT40 crossing together. McLaren and Amon, starting from farther back on the grid, actually covered a few feet more distance, so McLaren was declared the winner. Their victory was Ford's payback for failing to buy Ferrari.
Bury that goddamn greasy wop 100 feet deep under the finish line at Le Mans. And I will be there to watch it.
Fulfilling Henry Ford II's demand to win at any cost at Le Mans. This 1966 win not only ended Ferrari's streak but also made Ford the first American constructor to win Le Mans. The car's Ford racing boss Leo Beebe orchestrated the finish to allow a Ford victory, and even today the 1966 finish is one of the most famous moments in sports car history. Drivers Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon. The GT40's drivers in 1966 were Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon, both New Zealanders. McLaren was already a Formula One team owner and had tried 5 times before to win Le Mans. He finally succeeded here. Amon, an acclaimed sports car racer, joined McLaren in the number 2 car. Together they qualified the GT40 fourth and methodically worked up through the field. When all Ferraris dropped out, McLaren and Amon held the lead, along with teammates Ken Miles and Denny Hume. Under team orders they eased off to attempt a formation finish, and McLaren crossed the line first. In sum, McLaren and Amon's skill combined with Ford's engineering delivered an historic triumph that night. Engineering, power, and performance. The GT40 was a mid-engine sports prototype powered by Ford V8 engines. Its most famous variants, the Mk.II and Mk.IV, used a 427 cubic inch 7.0L Ford Big Block V8. Under Holman Moody's guidance, these engines developed roughly 450 horsepower. For endurance racing they ran dry sump lubrication, aluminum cylinder heads and light alloy components to save weight. The GT40 rode on a steel chassis with advanced suspension and disc brakes. In racing trim the GT40 weighed around 1,800 to 2,300 pounds Mk.II variant, giving it world-class performance. In fact, on the Mulsanne straight at Le Mans the 427 V8 pushed the GT40 to nearly 200 miles per hour. The transmission was a 4-speed manual toploader connected to the powerful V8 engine. 427 cubic inch displacement 6.997 L Ford V8 Mk.II producing 450 brake horsepower. Mk1 cars used 289 cubic inch displacement and 302 cubic inch displacement V8s. Transmission, 4-speed manual top loader. Power, 450 horsepower, mid-mounted for balance. Performance, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4 to 5 seconds, top speed 200 miles per hour on long straights. Rarity and legacy, why GT40s are so valuable. Today the GT40 is a highly coveted collector's car, and part of that value is its racing legacy. Only 105 GT40s were ever produced in various Mk1 and Mk4 versions, essentially all of them still survive. Just 4 or 5 pre-66 prototypes Mk1 exist, while only 10 to 15 of the Mk.II cars and a handful of Mk4s were built. This extreme rarity means any original GT40 commands millions of dollars. Collectors prize especially the cars with documented racing history or celebrity provenance, like the Le Mans winners. For example, the black No. 2 GT40 that McLaren/Amon drove to victory chassis P1046 was rediscovered and rebuilt in the 1980s, then later sold for eye-popping sums. Market demand and historic significance have driven record prices. The highest public sale of a GT40 was at auction in 2025 at Mk.II, chassis P1032, sold for about $13.2 million, the most ever paid for any Ford or GT40. That car had a dramatic story of its own, including on-track drama and restoration. Another GT40, the 1966 No. 2 winner, P1046, reportedly changed hands privately for $22 million in 2014, reflecting its one-of-a-kind status. In general, even ordinary GT40 road cars sell for several million today. In fact, Hagerty notes an average GT40 price in the 7 to 8 million range. The GT40's blend of Le Mans winning pedigree, limited numbers, and Ford history underpins these valuations. Ownership history, from Ford racing to collectors. In 2010 he sold P1046 to New Yorker Aaron Su for over $10 million. 4 years later Su sold that same car to racing driver Rob Kaufman for a reported $22 million. This remarkable chain of sales shows how values soared. After its sale to Kaufman, P1046 was restored yet again and even shipped back to France for the 50th anniversary of the 1966 race. In short, the GT40s that won Le Mans now reside in elite collections around the world. Many are owned by private individuals or museums and rarely see public sale. Production numbers and models. Ford built GT40s from 1964 to 1969, across 4 main versions, Mk1 through Mk4. Official records show 105 GT40s were completed. Of these, around 50 were Mk1, 4.7L engines, for road and race use, 8 Mk2, 7.0L engines, specifically for major races like Le Mans, a handful of road-legal Mk3 and 4, Mk4, also 7.0L, built in the USA. The first prototype chassis were GT101 to GT112, production cars started with GT40 P1000 onward. By 1966 rules required a minimum production number for the GT homologation, so Ford built dozens of road-legal variants to qualify. After Le Mans, only a few high-speed tracks still needed the big 7.0L engines, and Ford shifted to smaller engines post-1967 when rules changed. Production, 1964 to 1969, total 105 cars built. Notable models, GT40 Mk1, 4.7L, 50 cars, Mk2, 7.0L, 8 cars for racing, Mk3, 4.7L roadsters, 3 built, and Mk4, 7.0L, for cars US built. With so few ever made, each surviving GT40, especially a genuine factory race car, is a priceless piece of history. In fact, nearly all 105 cars still exist in original or restored form, making the GT40 a unique bridge between vintage racing and modern collector culture. The GT40 camera car. The Ford GT40's fame even extended to Hollywood. For filming high-speed race sequences, filmmakers needed a car that could keep up with real racers and carry bulky cameras. Ford GT40s were converted into camera cars for movies. Most famously, during production of the film Grand Prix, 1966, Ford provided a heavily modified GT40 Mk1 as an insert camera car. This special GT40 was stripped of roof panels and fitted with multiple Panavision 65mm cameras, one pointing forward, one rearward, and remote controls. Its passenger seat held an operator controlling focus and recording. The camera car chased actors and stunt drivers around the track to capture truly realistic footage. The camera-equipped GT40 cockpit during Grand Prix filming. Similarly, GT40 camera cars were used in Steve McQueen's Le Mans 1971 and other racing films. These cars illustrate the GT40's dual role, as a racing champion and as a tool of filmmaking, further cementing its legendary status among enthusiasts. The Ford GT40 camera car used in filming Grand Prix, 1966. The heavily modified cockpit far left housed a camera operator, the center panel shows camera controls, and the right panel shows a Panavision camera mounted ahead of the driver. Conclusion: an enduring legend. From its origins as Ford's challenger to Ferrari, the GT40 went on to become one of the most revered sports cars ever built. Its 1,966 Sierra Leonean Leon's Mans win and subsequent wins in 1967, 1968, 1969, was the culmination of a massive engineering effort, and it launched Ford into sports car legend. Today, the GT40's story lives on through vintage races, historic films, and auction block headlines. Whether roaring past 200 miles per hour in endurance racing or serving as a Hollywood camera platform, the GT40 captures the imagination of car enthusiasts worldwide. Despite a 50-plus-year age, it remains a modern legend, rare, powerful, and nearly priceless, with examples now worth well into the tens of millions of dollars. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the legendary Ford GT40, hit the like button, subscribe for more automotive history, and comment below: would you drive a $13 million race car on the road or keep it in a museum?